Some jobs pay well, some jobs are interesting, and some jobs you should never take. My name is Ethan Cole. I am 38 years old. I live alone in a small house on Mercer Street. I drink my coffee black. I own 3 sets of work clothes, and I have never once in my life been afraid of the dark. I am a mechanic, not the kind who fixes cars, the kind who fixes everything else. Boilers, generators, old electrical systems, steam pipes that haven't been touched in 40 years, dumbwaiters, ventilation shafts, the kinds of things that hide inside walls and underneath floors, the kinds of things that keep old buildings alive. If something is broken and nobody else can fix it, they call me. I have worked in hospitals abandoned since the 60s. I have worked in factories where men died during the night shift and nobody ever found out why. I have worked in prisons, in churches, in buildings that should have been torn down 20 years ago. I have never refused a job. I have never been scared. On the morning of October 3rd, a lawyer named Gerald Pitch called me about Hargrove Mansion. I should have let it go to voicemail. Gerald Pitch had the kind of voice that had delivered bad news so many times, it no longer felt anything delivering it. "Mr. Cole," he said, "Hargrove Mansion has been empty for 31 years. The estate has recently changed hands. The new owners want a full mechanical inspection before renovation begins. Boilers, generators, the old dumbwaiter system, electrical panels, plumbing, everything." "How large is the property?" I asked. 3 stories, 22 rooms, full basement, separate carriage house." "How long did you say it has been empty?" 31 years, he said again. "Why so long?" A pause. "Longer than it should have been. The previous owners had certain difficulties." "What kind of difficulties?" Another pause. "The kind that made them leave without taking their belongings." I waited for him to say more. He did not. "Has anyone been inside since then?" I asked. "Not officially," he said. "Not officially." I did not ask what that meant. I should have asked. The pay was 3 times my normal rate. Cash, upfront. I said yes. He gave me the address, told me the gate would be open, told me the key to the front door would be under the left stone. Then he said one more thing, just before he hung up. "Mr. Cole, do your inspection, write your report, and leave before dark." "Before dark," I said. "It is a 3-story mansion. That will take most of the day." "Then start early," he said, and the line went dead. Hargrove Mansion sat at the end of a narrow road, 7 miles outside the town of Ashwick. Population 412. 1 gas station, 1 church, 1 diner that closed at 4 in the afternoon, and 1 mansion that the people of Ashwick did not talk about. I stopped at the gas station to fill up my truck. The man behind the counter was old, 70s maybe, thick glasses, slow hands. He saw the address on my clipboard and stopped moving. "Hargrove Place," he said. "That is right," I said. He looked at me for a long moment. "You a builder?" "Mechanic," I said. "Inspection job." He nodded slowly, put my change on the counter, instead of handing it to me directly. "You know the history?" he asked. "Not really," I said. He looked at the window, at the road that led out of town. "The Hargrove family built that house in 1889, he said quietly. 6 of them lived there. Harold Hargrove, his wife Margaret, their 4 children. In 1993, Harold Hargrove walked out of that house in the middle of the night, no coat, no shoes, walked straight into the woods behind the property. His wife and children were found inside. The next morning, all of them sitting at the dining table, hands folded, eyes open. I waited. Were they alive? The old man said. Yes, all of them, perfectly fine, not a mark on any of them. Then what was the problem? I asked. He picked up his cloth, started wiping the counter. None of them could speak anymore. he said. Not a word. Not then. Not ever again. All 4 children. Margaret Hargrove herself. And Harold. They found him 3 days later, the old man said. In the woods, standing against a tree, eyes wide open. Dead? I asked. No, he said. Waiting. I picked up my change, walked to my truck, did not look back. The iron gate was open, rusted, bent slightly inward, like something had pushed against it. From the inside, for a very long time, the driveway was swallowed by weeds. Dead trees lined both sides, their branches reaching toward each other overhead, like hands trying to clasp together. Above me, the mansion itself was 3 stories, dark brick, tall, narrow windows that reflected no light, a front door made of black wood that looked like it had never once been painted or touched or loved. I sat in my truck for a moment, just looking at it. The windows stared back. I found the key under the left stone. Cold, heavy, iron, old-fashioned, the kind with the long barrel and the ornate bow, the kind they do not make anymore. I walked to the front door, put the key in the lock, turned it. The door opened without a sound, which was wrong. A door that age, on hinges that age, in a house empty for 31 years. I should have screamed. It did not make a single sound, like it had been waiting, and was relieved that someone had finally come back. The entrance hall was enormous. High ceilings, wallpaper peeling in long strips, like sunburned skin, a grand staircase splitting left and right at the top, an iron chandelier overhead, thick with cobwebs, everything covered in dust, thick as fabric, gray as ash, 31 years of stillness, sitting on every surface. But something was wrong. The dust on the floor was disturbed. In the center of the entrance hall, footprints, fresh ones, leading from the front door, across the hall, up the staircase, barefoot, adult-sized. I crouched down and looked closely. The edges of the prints were sharp, recent, not days old, hours. I stood up slowly, listened. Nothing, just the sound of the house settling, wood contracting, pipes shifting somewhere deep inside the walls. Normal sounds for an old building. I told myself that. I picked up my toolbox, and I got to work. I started in the basement. That is always where the truth lives. In an old building, the boilers, the water lines, the fuse boxes, the foundation walls. The basement door was at the end of the hall. Heavy, dark wood, a thick iron bolt across it, bolted from the outside. I slid the bolt, pulled the door open. Cold air rushed out. Not the cool air of an underground room. Something colder. The kind of cold that has no source. The kind that lives in a space where something went wrong and the air never recovered. I went down. Stone walls, stone floor, a single bare bulb hanging from the ceiling. I flicked the switch at the bottom of the stairs. Came on, which surprised me. 31 years, no power bill, no maintenance, and the bulb worked. The boiler was in the far corner, massive, iron, ancient, pipes running from it in every direction, like roots from an old tree. I walked toward it, raised my flashlight, checked the connections, checked the pressure valves, checked the firebox. Everything was cold, everything was dead, but everything was intact, like it had simply been switched off. Not broken, not aged, switched off deliberately. And then I saw the words, on the side of the boiler, scratched deep into the iron. Not painted, not stamped, scratched by hand, by something sharp, over and over, like whoever wrote it needed to be sure it would last. I leaned close, read it slowly. Do not fix what was broken on purpose. I read it 3 times. Then I opened my notebook, wrote down the boiler model, wrote down the valve readings, wrote down the pipe gauges. I did not write down those words, because writing them down would have made them real. I closed my notebook, went back upstairs, and that is when I heard it. From somewhere above me, 2nd floor, the sound, mechanical, rhythmic, slow, gears turning, cable moving through a shaft, the dumbwaiter running on its own. I stood at the bottom of the staircase, looking up. The sound stopped. Silence. Then from the second floor landing, very slowly, something appeared at the gap. Beneath the closed door, piece of paper, sliding out, slowly, deliberately, it floated down the stairs, landed on the step at my feet. I picked it up. Old paper, yellowed at the edges, written in ink so faded. It was almost gone. 3 words. Leave. Now, Ethan. My name. My full name. I had told nobody I was coming here today, except the lawyer, and I had never spoken to anyone who had ever set foot in this house. I stood on that staircase for a very long time, the paper in my hand, the house perfectly silent around me. And then from somewhere, deep inside the walls, the pipes began to move, not rattling, not knocking, humming, low and steady, like something warming up, like something waking up. I folded the paper, put it in my chest pocket, picked up my toolbox, and I walked up the stairs, because I am a mechanic, and I had a job to do, and because some part of me, the part that has spent 30 years, fixing things that should not work, needed to know what was broken in this house, and why, and who broke it, on purpose. This is episode 1 of the Hargrove Curse. What Ethan finds behind that door, on the second floor, what the dumbwaiter was carrying, and what Harold Hargrove did in this house 31 years ago. That is a story for episode 2. Subscribe to Grey Archive Tales and come back. We will be waiting.